Alright guys, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time to do a review on a shoe that no one is probably talking about or that really even knows about. So this is the Do-Win PB3. This is a Chinese made shoe. It is not going to be like sold on any like running warehouse or anything like that. This is as far as I know, this is an AliExpress exclusive shoe. They might have a website. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with it. I know that I got it off AliExpress. So I'm excited about this shoe. I've already ran a half marathon in it. I've also done about 15 to 20 miles of just sessions in it. So just a couple sessions and then a race, which is plenty enough miles to do a review on this shoe. So yeah, let's just talk about the specs right off the bat. So we have an 8mm drop from heel to toe. The information on this shoe is kind of hard to find. You have to really dig on the little advertisement page on AliExpress. But I was able to find, I think, all the information I really needed. So one thing that's kind of weird on there is they do all their measurements without the insole in the shoe. And so I made sure to add all the measurements properly. So you're getting 30mm of cushion under the forefoot, and you're getting 38 under the heel. So an 8mm drop, which, you know, that's fairly comparable. I mean, my Vaporfly is like, you know, basically 40 and 32, so it's fairly similar to that. I'll get into, you know, what it feels like underfoot here in a second. The magic of this shoe, I would say though, is the weight. My size 9, it's honest, the sizing's a little difficult as well. So just make sure if you do buy this shoe on AliExpress, just make sure you're looking at the sizing on it, the sizing chart. And honestly, get familiar with your European size and even measure your foot, because they actually have a little diagram on there that you can look at and it'll kind of tell you what size you need. Anyways, in my US 9.5, or like a 43, 42.5, 42-ish European size, this shoe came in at 6.81 ounces, which is actually a full point, or of, yeah, it's, well, my Vaporfly is 6.9, like 3. So this is even just a touch lighter than my Vaporfly, which is kind of crazy. So that kind of tells you already that this shoe is like crazy light. Okay, but let's actually dive in to all the individual kind of factors of the shoe. So the laces, I actually really like the laces. They're pretty thin, but then they're also flat, so they actually lay on top of the foot pretty nice. The lacing system, as you can tell, it's a pretty narrow. Overall, the width is pretty narrow. It does fan out pretty nice in the toe box, but it's a pretty narrow fit, which I had absolutely no issues with. And I'm going to go ahead and give you a 1 to 10 scoring on each thing too. And you know, 7, 7.5, 7.5 are, you know, a standard score. So I gave the laces and the lacing system a 7.5. I gave the tongue a 7.5. I will say this: if they made this a gusseted tongue, I would have given it an 8 or an 8.5, because I really like, it's like a felt type material, which actually felt really comfortable and no rubbing or anything like that. So even if it was like a larger tongue and it kind of sat on top of your ankle more, I think the felt wouldn't rub you raw. But I give it a 7.5 because it's not gusseted. I really like a gusseted tongue, but I had absolutely no issues with it. The upper, as minimalistic and kind of honestly low-key cheap as the upper is, you can kind of tell it's like see-through. it's extremely breathable. You can kind of, hopefully that you can see that. It's really breathable. So I gave it a 7.5 because I think it's just a good solid standard upper. Even though I know that this is like the cheapest part of the shoe is like, you know, it's pretty cheap. But I honestly, personally really enjoyed that. The midsole, oh man, what to even say about the midsole? The midsole's pretty awesome. I will say this, so even though it says it has 30 millimeters of cushion under the foot with the insole in it, it honestly feels like a little bit more than that, so it's a little bit misleading. Compared to my Vaporfly that has 32 under the forefoot, this actually feels like it has another 1 to 2 millimeters underfoot, so it actually feels a little bit more cushioned than that. And I think a lot of it is because the plate probably sits a little bit lower in the shoe, so that would be kind of my 2 cents. But the midsole feels really great. I think they're calling it the Slider F2. In terms of like what it like comparable, what does it feel like? It actually kind of feels a lot like the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. And you know, this is a PBA midsole, so but it's not completely like this. It's almost like if you mixed a super critical PBA foam with like a nitrogen infused midsole kind of compound. Like you kind of would get this. I'm sure there's information that you could look up if you got really serious about this shoe. You could find exactly what it is. But I'm just going to tell you what it feels like. It feels like an OG Adidas Pro 1 or OG Adidas Pro 2 and a Saucony Endorphin Pro 3 kind of mixed, like kind of mixed together. That's kind of the feeling you get. So it's as you can tell, it's pretty soft initially, but once you put more force into the shoe, it really has a lot of bounce. So it's like it's soft at first, kind of first hit, and then that firmness of the shoe and the plate give you a nice bouncy propulsive feel. The plate isn't super rigid, I will say that. I mean, obviously I can barely even flex it, but it's not like a Vaporfly in the sense that you can immediately feel that toe off. You do get a nice kind of rocker in there, and you definitely feel the rigidity of the plate, but it's not super aggressive. So I think because of that, it actually makes it a really good half marathon and even maybe marathon type shoe. And again, even a good just like speed trainer shoe, like in your rotation. So that's the midsole. I gave it a score of a 9 because it's super quality. That's where the magic is of the shoe, really. The outsole, I gave it a score of an 8, which is a little bit better than average. I actually really like, even though this is, you know, it's kind of cheap, it's like not even smoothened out on the edge. It's literally like, you know, so you can see where the price, the cheapness of it kind of comes through. But the rubber itself was really nice. It's a little bit tacky, so it kind of sticks to the ground a little bit, but good coverage. Didn't have any issues with that. Even ran on wet conditions and even ran through a few puddles during the race, and had like literally no issues with that. So I gave it a score of an 8. And then durability, I'm just going to give it a standard score of 7.5. Right now, it's not really showing any wear, but I only have like 20-25 miles in it. But I've also worn carbon-plated racing shoes, and after like 15 miles, I already started seeing signs of wear. So that's why I gave it a good standard 7.5. In terms of aesthetic, this is just my opinion. I know a lot of people are like, that's the most hideous shoe I've ever seen. But I really like the minimalistic, raw, just kind of like blue collar vibe of this. So I gave it an 8.5. I just think it's cool. I do. I think it looks like almost like someone made like a homemade carbon plated racing shoe, and it just like, but it's cool. Like it's kind of an artsy type thing. I like it. And then the price. This is probably the first time and the only time this will ever happen on this channel. giving it a 10, a perfect score. Because I got this pair, I think it was, now this is not including shipping, I think it was like $70 bucks. Plus the shipping, honestly, it was I think it was still under 80 bucks, or like maybe 85 bucks. So that's insane. Like, I can't even tell you how insane that is. Even compared to like this, which this isn't even the most expensive shoe on the market, as we all know. I paid, I believe at the time this was $250 or $225. Maybe it was $220, which actually that's quite a bit cheaper than it. Let's just compare it to this. So $225 and $75 basically, as far as the retail price. That's like insane. And for this to feel like this, and you know what's crazy? This is 7.5 ounces. This is 6.8. Like, this is considerably lighter. And to be honest, I actually think underfoot, under the toe box, that these two are very comparable. Like, if you like the firm but a little bit of bounce, a little bit of softness underfoot that you get from this shoe, you're gonna get a very similar feel in this one. But I feel like you're gonna get maybe a little bit more. I don't know if stability is the right word, because it is in the forefoot and it's not throughout the entire shoe. But you get a really nice sense of stability when you're landing on your forefoot. It just feels very efficient, which that's something I felt during the race. Even on tired legs, I still felt very efficient in the shoe. Okay. So anyways, the overall score, adding up all the numbers, I get 8.1. Anything above 8 is like an incredible shoe. So I'm recommending to buy this. I'm going to end up buying it again to probably put it through some more paces, more training, that kind of thing. Especially when it's only 70, 80 bucks. It's kind of hard not to. It's going to make my favorites category. And it will just stay in my rotation until it wears out, and then I get another pair. Or they even have come out with the PB 3.5, which is this is the PB3, and I even have a PB4 on there. I think the PB 3.5 is like a little bit over $100 right now. It's like 110 or 105, which I'm planning on probably getting that too to try and see. Okay, so I just feel like I've been rambling. Okay. So the only other thing I want to say about the shoe, and this is more of a comparison thing again, just for some people. I know a lot of people are really want to get geeked out about the plate and kind of what does the plate feel like and what is it comparable to in this shoe, because that's the big thing right now with the carbon plate racing shoes. Is every plate's a little different, you know. We all want to know what the responsiveness of a shoe is, and to me, if you're landing more midfoot and not completely off the toe, if you're landing more comfortable, this actually feels really close to a Vaporfly when you're landing more midfoot. When you start getting up on the toe, it doesn't feel as aggressive as a Vaporfly, but a midfoot, kind of more smooth, more half marathon, even marathon pace effort, it feels pretty reminiscent of that. So anyways, that's my full review of the Do-Win PB3. I hope this is informational for you. I hope that you know that there are brands out there trying to do cool things, and they aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg. I will give you one tip of advice if you're buying off of AliExpress, and that is, when you find this shoe or find other shoes that you're interested in buying on there, make sure it has a shoe with the advertisement and the brand logo and stuff on the actual like what you click on, because there's a lot of items you can click on that are just like a white background with nothing, and it just has a shoe. I wouldn't trust those. So far I've been successful. I've only ordered 2 shoes off of AliExpress, and both of them were in great condition, or They were the actual shoe I bought, but that was because I knew to buy with the advertisement on the actual item. So just make sure that you see, Do-Win, and it'll have like a graphic, and it'll give you all the information on it. So just make sure you do that. Anyways, I digress. I hope you guys had a good weekend. If you raced, hope you did well, and we will see you next video.